Imagine a world where black people control their own destiny, their own businesses, their own ships, their own future. In the early 1900s, one man dared to dream that dream, and he didn't just dream it, he tried to make it real. His name was Marcus Garvey, and his boldest vision, the Black Star Line, a shipping company owned and operated by black people for black people. It was more than a business. It was a revolution on the water. But how did it rise? And why did it fall? This is the story of Marcus Garvey and the Black Star Line. In Jamaica, late 1800s, a young Garvey is working in a print shop, reading newspapers about the world. He overhears a conversation between two older men. Ezekiel, they don't want us to succeed, brother. They've got all the power, and we got nothing. Charles, you are right, my brother, Ezekiel says. Absolutely nothing. We had empires, we had kings and queens. But now we beg for scraps. A young Garvey listens, absorbing every word. His fists tighten. Then young Garvey says to himself, we don't have to beg, we can build. By 1919, Garvey had moved to Harlem, New York, where his movement exploded. He believed that black people shouldn't depend on white-owned businesses. They needed their own industries, their own trade routes, and most importantly, their own ships. So he launched the Black Star Line, a black-owned shipping company that would trade goods between the U.S., the Caribbean, South America, and Africa. It was an audacious plan. Most black people at the time weren't even allowed to work on major shipping lines, let alone own one. For too long, black people have been shut out of wealth, denied opportunities, denied ownership, denied a seat at the table. But Garvey had a vision. If the world wouldn't open doors, he would build new ones. So he did something bold, something revolutionary. Instead of turning to wealthy investors or begging for loans, he turned to the people. He sold shares of the company to everyday black people, factory workers, farmers, teachers, people who had never been given the chance to invest in something bigger than themselves. For the first time, they weren't just customers, they were owners. The dream was alive, but the reality was harder than Garvey expected. The ships they bought, old and unreliable. Some were scammed into buying broken ships at high prices. Some captains and crew had no proper training. The company struggled to keep up with repairs and deadlines. And worst of all, no doubt, all eyes were opened. The U.S. government was watching. They saw Garvey as a threat, a black man encouraging millions to rise up, own businesses, and reclaim Africa. That was dangerous, so they made their move. Enter J. Edgar Hoover, head of the FBI. He saw Garvey's movement as a problem and wanted to shut it down. Hoover launched an investigation, the first ever FBI investigation of a black leader, but they couldn't arrest him for his speeches. So they went after the Black Star Line. They accused Garvey of mail fraud, saying he lied to investors about the company's success. In 1923, he was arrested, convicted, and sentenced to prison. By the time he got out, the Black Star Line had collapsed. Garvey was later deported to Jamaica, and though he continued his movement, he never regained the same momentum. The Black Star Line was gone. But here's the truth. Marcus Garvey lost the battle, but won the war. His ideas inspired generations of black leaders. Marcus Garvey once said, "A people without knowledge of their past is like a tree without roots." The dream is still alive. The future is in our hands. How will you help build it?